Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Chris and welcome to Daily Reflections with Chris. So those who are new to this channel, my name's Chris, and what we do here, or what I do, is I read out of this book. It's called the Daily Reflections, and this book is a book for people in recovery, by people in recovery. I'm sorry, I don't keep forgetting, but I keep thinking about all the literature that we have in recovery, right? Everything that I know and everything that I don't know. So much literature out there that can help us today just get through our day. Sometimes it really is about just not drinking, and about not picking up the drug, or about not making the phone call, or about not spending that much. Sometimes it is really about that. But today we're going to talk about a little bit about what it's like to be in recovery, right? To actually be working the steps, not only consistently, but with the willingness and an open mind and a level of honesty that it takes to get healed from this, right? So let's read this and we'll talk a little bit more about it, okay? So today is August the 10th, and it says, we become willing. At the moment, we are trying to put our lives in order, but this is not an end in itself. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 77. How easily I can become misdirected in approaching the 8th step. I wish to be free, somehow transformed by my 6th and 7th step work. Now more than ever, I am vulnerable to my own self-interest and hidden agenda. I am careful to remember that self-satisfaction, which sometimes comes through the spoken forgiveness of those I have harmed, is not my true objective. I become willing to make amends, knowing that through this process I am mended and made fit to move forward, to know and desire God's will for me. So before I came on this video, I had to read that a couple of times because I wasn't really quite understanding what it was saying. So because they spoke English in the 40s when they wrote the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, but the way they spoke, how they spoke, or what their sentences look like, it's a little different than today's, text messages or emojis or memes, or So anyway, it says at the moment we're trying. That means, like, in this moment right now, we are trying to put our lives in order. But this is not an end in itself. In other words, it's a process. It's an ongoing process where, moving forward, if you stay in recovery, sometimes it is like we're always trying to put our life in our order. But right now, more than ever, right? Because we've done a little bit of work already. And it mentions the 6 and 7, right? Where it's like we look at our defects and decide, we're ready to let these go. And then in 7, we say, yes, we're ready. We humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings, right? And now we're in 8, where we make a list of the people that we have harmed. And we become willing to make amends to them all. And that's what this is talking about becoming willing to make amends to them, right? So I can make my list. Say my mom, my sister, my nieces. And then I have to become willing to do that. Folks, when it came to my mom, it wasn't about just feeling good. It wasn't about expecting her to be like, oh, mijo. I wanted to hear that all my life. It wasn't about that. It was about actually healing the relationship between me and her. It was about my healing. It was about her healing. For her to get an apology from her son that never thought he was wrong, from her son who had her walking on eggshells, from her son who even in recovery was conceited. For me to actually get to a point where I was willing to do whatever it took to make things right, to heal, so that she would have some healing, that I would be healed from this. I mean, like, folks, this is like This is the real stuff. This is some real deep work, right? And it talks about here about true freedom, true freedom. What is my true objective? Where does my true freedom come? I mean, do I just want to make amends? Am I willing just to make amends so that I could, lift up my collar and be like, hey, look what I did, look what I did. Or look at me, I'm better now. Look at me, I mean it this time. Look at me. I said sorry. No, it's not about saying sorry. It's not about looking good. Trust me, folks. When you're in recovery, it's really hard to save your face and your ass at the same time. One of them's going to go, right? Either you're going to save your face and maybe even lie, or you're going to save your ass and tell the truth. But sometimes we can't do them both at the same time, right? We got to pick one or the other. So for me, that's what it was. It was like making the list and became willing to make amends to them all. At some point, did I think that? One time I'll tell you a little story. I don't like to be late to work. I don't like to call in. I don't like to say I'm going to do something and don't do it. If people ask me for something and I say yes, then 99% of the time I'm going to do it. I wasn't always like that. I used to have zero integrity. My word meant nothing when I got here. And everything, half the stuff I said was lies, right? So back to the story. So I get this job with this lady, she's like, hey, I didn't have a job. She was like, I got some work for you. And I was like, okay. So she had me take care of her kids while she was doing her taking care of business. She needed a babysitter, so I'd watch her kids. These were older guys, they were just handicapped, right? But they were her kids. And so she asked me to watch him, and I did. And I really liked the job. I mean, I was like, oh, it's easy. I watch TV. I just make sure they don't hurt themselves. And then it got more intense than that. And I started having to do things that I didn't really want to do. So I felt out of love, right, with the job. And so I called in one day. I was like, I don't want to do this. But I didn't tell her that I called in. I just said, I can't make it today. And she made me feel bad because she was like, well, Chris, I was waiting on you. I have stuff to do. This is the only time I get to do my personal things. I'm really counting on you to be here today. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't. And I felt so bad for calling in that I couldn't, my stomach was hurting. So I called her back later on and I said, hey, I want to make amends to you. And she's like, for what? And I said, I want to make amends to you for not showing up today. She said, Chris, are you doing this just to make yourself feel better? And I said, no. She says, well, if you're doing this to make yourself feel better, she said, you don't have to. She said, but if you're doing this because you're really trying to make things right, then I accept your apology. She says, as a matter of fact, I know that you don't like this job anymore. We've noticed your performance gone down. And she said, so don't worry about not coming anymore. No, man, I felt horrible. I felt even worse after that, right? So I said, okay. I said, well, I appreciate the opportunity you gave me. You gave me a job when I needed one, so thank you. And she said, of course. She goes, and if you ever change your mind about wanting to do this again, just let me know, because I'm always looking for people. And I said, okay, thank you. So we hang up, right? And man, I had to think about it. I said, was I really just trying to feel better? And for me to say, yes, I was just really trying to feel better, it hurt. I was vulnerable. My vulnerability, it made me feel a certain way because I wasn't used to it. That's what it's talking about right here. Remember, I am careful to remember that self-satisfaction, which sometimes come through the spoken forgiveness of those I have harmed. It's not my true objective. So I was trying to get self-satisfaction by making that amends to her. I was trying to feel better or feel different. And I wanted her to say, oh, he's a really good AA, or he does recovery awesome. He's good. Oh my God, I gotta tell his sponsor that he's doing a great job. Right? So I had to really look at that. And even though I never admitted to her that was the truth, because I never really saw her that much after that, I had to admit it to myself. I had to be like, God, man, that was strange. I never felt that before. So now what I do is when, in you'll learn more about step 10, but later on, if you're new, but if you've been here for a while, you know that step 10 says that we continue to take personal inventory, right? Well, why does that work? And why does not what you did work, Chris? Because step 10, it says we take the inventory first, and then we make the amends. And here, I did the amends first, then I took the inventory. So I did it backwards. But that was a lot of my the lessons that I learned through my inexperience still with the program, right? Still being new, I still did things out of order. And now today, step 10 and 8, they're kind of similar because you're making a list, right? You're making a list of the people we had harmed. And in step 10, we talk about like, well, was I selfish? Was I unkind? Did I lie to somebody? Could I done something better? Did I hurt somebody? Did I purposely make somebody jealous today? I get to ask myself all these questions. Did I cause chaos and confusion today? Did I put myself in a position to be hurt? Because this is an inventory of not only what I've done to others, but what I've done to myself. And then I go, and I can go and be like, and what did I do right? Well, I showed up to work. I worked 8 hours. I gave 8 hours of work today. I went to lunch when they told me to. I came back from lunch 30 minutes later. I wasn't on my cell phone at work. Little things like that I can say, I did really good today. I went to a meeting today. I talked to a newcomer. I served coffee in my group today because I wanted to. I made sure I bought dog food on my way home. I'm making effort to keep my finances in order. Little things like that are stuff that I do today that I didn't used to do before. I didn't care before my finances were in order or not. All I cared about is, did I have enough money to get loaded today? I didn't care if I hurt anybody in the process either. And today, I do care. It does matter to me how you feel when I leave. It does matter that when I'm in the room, am I making you feel better or worse? It matters to me. Why? Because I became willing. Am I perfect? No. Do I mess up? Yes. Do I give attitude? Yeah, I do. I'm human. I'm imperfect. But this program gives me the opportunity to not drink over my imperfections today. Back when I used to drink, I remember I used to just be in the bar and just think like, I'm a horrible son. I'm just going to drink the rest of my life away. This is it. This is what life's going to be like. I keep trying. Nothing works. God don't love me. Stuff like that. And folks, a lot of this stuff was just stuff that I'd heard along the way growing up. And got stuck in my head, and it just kept driving me crazy. Well, the steps will get me, or have gotten me, unstuck from my own thoughts. And right here at the bottom it says, I love this. And we'll probably end with this. It says, through this process, I am mended. I get healed, folks. You can too. And made fit to move forward. Spiritually fit. Mentally fit. Emotionally fit. Right? vulnerability and honesty, humility, all that is. It's about our spirituality, our emotions, and, you know, our fruits. What are we doing here, guys? I mean, if you're on step 8 and you're not getting better, something's not right. Being on step 8 means there's 12 of these steps and you're on 8. I'm on 8. We're moving forward, right? And we're getting better every single day. To know and desire. To know and desire God's will for me. Folks, I don't know what God's will is for me every single time, but I know what it's not. And it's not confusion. It's not chaos. It's not lying. It's not stealing. It's not cheating. It's not jealousy. It's not falsifying. It's not that for me. So if I could take the opposite of that, then that's what I'm going to go for. Right? That's to know it. And to desire it, it's a whole different thing. It's like, folks, if you want to stay the same, go ahead. But if you don't, find something to believe in. Whether it be God, whether it be the Buddha, whether it be whatever it is, whoever you want to choose, it doesn't matter. And if you choose the Buddha, please don't take it personal. I think he's cute. There's a big one over there on 360. He's beautiful. I love when I pass by, I'm like, God, that's big. Right? But whoever it is that you trust with your life today, whatever that entity is, desire it with all your heart. It will take you places that you've never been before. Make this program a higher power if you want to start there. That's where I started. And it's never failed me. I'm being on step 8, knowing it today the way that I know it. I didn't know it like I know it today. Step 8 is about making a list and becoming willing. That's it. And I'll really end with this because this video is getting longer than what I wanted to. I heard in a meeting one time this guy says that his sponsor gave him a suggestion. And the suggestion was that for him to do step 4 like there was no 5. Folks, my suggestion to you today is do step 8 like there was no 9. Don't worry about 9. Just do 8. Just make the list. Just make the list. And hopefully through the process of making the list, you'll have the willingness to make amends. That's it. Make the list. Become willing. I love you, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.